On the 22nd of June 1986, Diego Maradona did two things in the same game that no player in football history has ever matched. He committed the most infamous act of cheating the sport has ever seen. And then, 4 minutes later, scored the greatest individual goal ever recorded. Same match, same man. The same left hand that punched the ball into the net was attached to the same body that then destroyed 5 England players and a goalkeeper from his own half. This is not opinion, this is what happened. But to understand why that game meant what it meant, you have to go back 4 years. In 1982, Argentina and England fought a war. The Falklands War lasted 74 days and killed 649 Argentine soldiers and 255 British soldiers. It ended with Argentina's surrender. The wounds on both sides were deep, recent, and unresolved. 4 years later, those same two nations were drawn against each other in the quarterfinals of the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. FIFA and both football associations publicly insisted the match had nothing to do with politics. Nobody believed them. In Argentina, the players knew exactly what the game represented. Maradona himself said years later that going into that match, it felt like they were playing against a country, not a football team. His words in a documented interview were that they considered it a revenge of sorts. Not their revenge, the revenge of the Argentine people. That context matters, because what Maradona did in that game cannot be separated from what that game meant. The first goal came in the 51st minute. Jorge Valdano played the ball forward, it deflected off Steve Hodge and looped up toward the England penalty area. England goalkeeper Peter Shilton came out to collect it. Maradona was 5 feet 5 inches tall, Shilton was 6 feet 1 inch. There was no version of that moment where Maradona wins a fair aerial challenge against Shilton, so he didn't try. He raised his left fist, punched the ball into the net, and wheeled away celebrating before anyone could process what had happened. The referee, Ali Benasser, did not see it. He allowed the goal. The linesman did not flag. England's players surrounded Maradona and the referee in fury. Shilton was furious. The England bench was furious. The goal stood. Subscribe. In the post-match press conference, a journalist asked Maradona directly how the goal went in. His answer became one of the most quoted lines in football history. He said it was scored a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. He was smiling when he said it. 20 years later, in his autobiography published in 2004, Maradona confirmed what everyone already knew. He said he had punched it deliberately and that it was a kind of symbolic revenge against the English. 4 minutes passed. Then came the second goal. Maradona received the ball just inside his own half. He was surrounded. There was no obvious pass. There was no logical reason to attempt what he attempted next. He ran. He ran past Peter Reid. He pushed the ball past Terry Butcher. He cut inside Terry Fenwick, who fouled him, but the referee played on. He drew Peter Shilton off his line. He went around him. He placed the ball into an empty net. The entire run covered approximately 60 meters. He touched the ball 6 times. He beat 5 outfield players and the goalkeeper. It took 11 seconds. The man who called it the goal of the century was not a journalist or a fan. It was FIFA itself in an official online vote in 2002 where football fans across the world were asked to choose the greatest goal in World Cup history. That goal won by a distance that was not close. England's players, in interviews conducted years later, said they knew as it was happening that they were watching something they would never see again. Terry Butcher, one of the defenders Maradona beat, said he wanted to applaud at the final whistle, but couldn't bring himself to do it. Argentina won the game 2-1. They went on to win the 1986 World Cup. Maradona was named the tournament's best player, not by a narrow margin, unanimously. But what makes that quarterfinal uniquely impossible is the combination. Every sport produces cheats. Every sport produces moments of genius. But no player in the history of football has produced the most disgraceful act and the most brilliant act in the same game, against the same team, in front of the same crowd, 4 minutes apart. Maradona was asked in his later years which goal meant more to him. He said the first one, because the second one was just football. The first one was for his country.